Alright, today I'm going to show you how to bleach paint shirts because when I was looking for a tutorial on it, there weren't many. Now, I've only done it once, but my credentials are this one really sick shirt I made. I think it turned out pretty good, so I decided I am qualified to make an entire video on it. Alright, so for supplies that you need, first thing is a shirt. Mine is a 60% cotton, 40% polyester shirt. You can get them from anywhere. I get mine from jiffyshirts.com. You also need bleach, and technically those are the only two things that you really need, but there's a lot of other materials that I recommend. The first thing is paintbrushes. You can just get cheap ones, unless you were planning on painting with your hands, but I wouldn't. Next you need chalk to do your sketch. I use Taylor's chalk because I think the sharp edges are a lot easier to work with compared to when you buy like school board chalk. It has very flat edges. You will also need some cups to mix the bleach in and a marker to mark the cups so you don't get mixed up on which one is which. I would also recommend a ruler for any straight lines. And then I would say a cardboard piece or a mat or something to put inside the shirt. Because if you're bleaching one side of the shirt, you don't want it to leak through onto the other side. So you need something in the middle for like a hard surface so nothing can go through. Now, a couple optional things. One thing is a way to protect everything around you, unless you're really confident you're not going to get bleach everywhere. I'm not, because I can be a messy artist. So I used a towel over my table and then I put a garbage bag over that just to protect everything so I didn't accidentally bleach furniture. Another thing is black paint in a fabric medium, which is good if you make mistakes. You can cover up small parts of the bleach that may have bled too much. And lastly, a respirator. Don't work with bleach in a small closed room. You're not going to feel so good after a while. And of course, I'll link everything that I use below. I like to wash and dry the shirts one time before I paint on them just to get any shrinkage or anything out of the way. But that's up to you. I do it though. Now, for starting your design, you're going to use your chalk to sketch it first. Unless you're really good and don't need a sketch, or crazy, or both. I'm using the grid method because I'm referencing a manga panel, so I want it to be really accurate to the original art. And if you don't know what the grid method is or how to use it, I have a video on that and I'll link it for you. And I have to say, I just barely got into YouTube like a week ago, impulsively, so to already have a video that I can refer you to, that's pretty good planning on my part, I gotta say. Anyways, go ahead and draw out your design. If you're doing both sides of the shirt, just draw out one for now because you're going to want to wash it in between and you would just wash off the sketch on the other side, so just do one at a time for now. And then once you've sketched it, you're ready for the bleach. Now, for the bleach, you're going to take 3 cups and you're going to write on it, one is 100% bleach, one is 75% bleach, and one is 50% bleach. I kind of guess on the 75% one. I don't actually do it super accurately. Just add a little bit of water, and then on the 50% one, just do half water, half bleach. 100% one, just pour bleach in there. That's it. The way this is going to work is the 100% bleach is going to be used for the lightest areas of the art, so the whites of a manga panel. The 75% will be used for any of the light grays, and then the 50% will be for any dark grays in the panel. And then black, you don't gotta do anything because you got a black shirt. Isn't that easy? Now, once you have your bleach and you're ready to paint, make sure you have something in your shirt so that it doesn't bleed through to the other side of the shirt, unless that's what you want, but it's probably gonna look bad, so I wouldn't do it. And then you can start with whichever color you want. I tend to start with the 100% bleach and do the whitest parts, but if you're nervous and not sure what colors go well, start with the 50% because you can always add more to make it lighter, but you can't take it away once it is lighter. Now, a few things for the actual painting. The first one is when you're painting, make sure you tap your brush after dipping it in the bleach because you don't want it really wet because then when you put it on the shirt, it's going to blob initially and it'll make your lines really uneven. So always tap your brush to kind of get the extra bleach off. You're going to have to wet your brush a lot because it's going to dry out really fast on the fabric, but it's better for it to dry out than have too much and accidentally get splatters everywhere. I would also use a finer tip brush than what you think you should be using, so even finer than you would if you were just painting like normal, because it's going to expand a little bit once you get the bleach on the fabric. So always go smaller than you think and go darker than you think with the 50% bleach, because you can correct both of those, but you can't reverse it. Also, for your lines, you have to go really, really slow and use even pressure to make them look good. So don't rush it. You're gonna have to dip your brush a lot and you're gonna have to go really slow just to finish any large lines, but it'll look better in the end. And if you need to, you can touch it up, but I've learned that makes it a lot easier. One other piece of advice I have is I think bleach actually looks pretty good when you're kind of messy with it and it's more chaotic. So I would pick kind of a chaotic manga panel where you have a lot of freedom to kind of make mistakes. I feel like the Chainsaw Man one that I did, it was easy because there's like splatters and stuff around. So like if I made a mistake, I could just go with it and add more splatter around it. So I wouldn't choose the most like perfect simple panel ever. I think a little chaotic can look pretty good. Then after you finish bleaching, you're gonna want to rinse your shirt with water or wash it to stop the bleaching process. You don't have to worry about it bleeding as long as your shirt wasn't like dripping wet with bleach, which it shouldn't be. It should have been pretty dry. And then after you've rinsed it or washed it, you're gonna want to dry it. You can either throw it in a dryer or hang dry it. I ended up throwing it in a dryer because I'm impatient, and if I have too long of a break between a craft, I will lose interest and not come back. Now, if you're gonna bleach the other side, once it's dry, this is when you would draw and bleach the other side. If you're not doing both sides of the shirt, this is when you can do touch-ups with the black. So depending on what your fabric medium says and what ratio to do, that's how you'll mix the black paint with fabric medium. I think mine was like a 2-to-1 ratio. You don't need a lot, but you can mix just a little bit and use it to touch up any lines that look weird. Don't use it for any large areas. Don't fill in a huge area because it's not going to look good in paint on a cotton shirt. So just use it for small touch-ups like lines or maybe points that you want to clean up a little bit. The drying time for the fabric medium, it just depends whichever one you're using. I think mine said it takes like a week or so before you're supposed to wash it. I didn't do that. I waited about 3 days and it worked out okay, but I wouldn't, don't totally take my opinion for that. Don't mess up your art. It depends what you're using. But I'm going to say it worked for me, so, up to you, whatever works. But here's the finished shirt, and doesn't it look so good? I really hope it does, because I'm recording this voiceover before I even start painting, so I'm hoping it works and I'm going in really confident. If it doesn't work, you won't ever see this video. And after you have finished everything, the next step is to take a picture of your shirt so you can flex it on your Instagram story, and of course tag me so that I can see it and share it also. And the step after that, if you have actually done all these things and you have made a shirt and you haven't subbed, the next step is to sub, or at least think about it.